know, we tell the guys all the time, adversity's going to hit you in a game, it's going to hit you in life. You got to have some toughness, you got to be mentally strong.
Diagnosed with tonsil cancer, Lamanji was confident he'd overcome it.
I felt like I've lived a good life, that when that day comes, that I will be going to heaven. It doesn't escape the fact that I don't want to do it now. I'm going to fight like heck.
Motorcycle people come through and like to stay here. The boating people come through and like to stay here, and it's a good stop before you get to Valentine. Get closed, it's just like town it's just kind of shut down.
I'm always looking for something I haven't seen before, and that's really exciting when you come up to someone and you see them treat the materials in a way that you would have never imagined it happening.
From 3 News Now and the Omaha World-Herald, this is Omaha Sunday Morning with Jennifer Griswold.
Good morning and thanks for joining us this Sunday. I'm Jennifer Griswold. Fall is officially here and many people are taking advantage of the nice weather to get out for a walk, jog, or even a bike ride on some of Omaha's paved trails. Now, along with the riders on one of those trails, you'll find Omaha police officers. They're switching out the patrol cars for 2 wheels, highlighting a trail which spans 27 miles all the way from northwest Omaha to Bellevue. 3 News Now reporter Alex McClune spoke to people passing through to see what they're concerned about.
Omaha police officers are mounting up on their bikes and hitting the trails. Police bike units are patrolling places like Keystone Trail to keep runners, walkers, and bikers safe. All Wednesday afternoon, families were strolling along the trail. But parents like Monica Ottinger don't feel comfortable letting their kids out alone at places where there's so much activity during the day.
And there's some wooded areas by the trail they like to play in, and they've had a couple instances with people approaching them. They spooked them enough that I don't feel comfortable with them coming to the baseball park anymore, even though it's only 3 blocks from our house.
Biker safety was also a concern as a group of riders got together for an evening ride. Mark Sullivan has been riding in the area for about 10 years. He sometimes commutes to work on his bike. Sullivan says using the trails is a lot less stressful, and police patrolling the trail is helpful for other bikers.
On the road, you know, I do have a lot of close calls, but when I get on the bike paths, I feel the stress level just drop considerably because I've always had a safe, enjoyable ride on the bike paths, but it's not to say something like that can't happen.
As he geared up for the ride, Spencer Levitt told us about a few incidents he's seen when it comes to biking on trails.
I've heard about people getting sticks thrown like under bridges because it gets kind of dark over there, and with our sunglasses we can't really see it, and just kind of skateboarders that accidentally like fall off their skateboard, and just crazy stuff, squirrels.
Omaha police say they're always working to keep the trails safe. Young people in South Omaha have a new resource for starting their college education or career. The Boys and Girls Clubs of the Midlands opened the dedicated College and Career Center this week. The center was made possible by a $35,000 grant from the Hartford. It plans to use the resources to better prepare teens for life after high school.
In this space, the teens will be able to have access to Chromebooks. They'll have access to smart TV. They'll have a new smart board. They'll have a lot of college and career pamphlets, booklets, a lot of material. And it's also a place where they can come and get their homework done.
The center will also hold classes centered around college and career readiness and mentoring programs for teens. Far from the city lights, tucked away in the Sandhills, sits the Bassett Lodge and Range Cafe. It's the sort of place that nowadays exists only on a picture postcard, a relic of the past when cattle buyers descended on small Nebraska towns for booming livestock sales. Those ranchers needed a place to socialize and spend the night, and the Bassett Lodge became famous for providing just that. Now a new generation is taking over to ensure it stays open, and Bassett, population 562, stays on the map. Omaha World-Herald visual journalist Ryan Soderlund takes us to the bustling cafe.
Thank you.
class at Lodge and Mage Cafe?
People love our food, obviously, but I think it's the atmosphere of it. I mean, people come in, it's like you're walking back in time. It's kind of, you know, it's like a little time capsule when you walk in, and I think people just kind of like the feel of it. It's just like an old diner, and so you just get a lot of repeat travelers or people that travel back and forth that, you know, it's always their stop. It's just a fun atmosphere, I think.
Probably. I almost went 3 to 5 with the king.
When the Trousdales ran this, they had children, and I would come down and play with them, and we would play ping pong in the basement, and we would roller skate in the basement, and we would run through the hotel, which we weren't supposed to do.
Hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it.
And you probably heard too, the motorcycle people come through and like to stay here. The boating people come through and like to stay here, and it's a good stop before you get to Valentine for the canoers.
Very good club. We got 5 on.
Well, it's basically the hub of the community, really. I don't know. I mean, I think before we owned it, I don't think I realized how important it was to the community, but now, I mean, you come by breakfast, I mean, and it's just where everyone gathers. It's where people, if you need to have your meetings, they use the meetings. You know, it's just, I don't want to say the community would be lost without it, but I think it would be, I mean, really sad for the community to not have it in there. I'm not sure, you know, it's one of the only places to eat in town. It's, you know, the only hotel within quite a ways, so I think it's pretty important to the community, so.
What kind of burrito is that?
Food's really good. It's kind of a cozy place, good to come eat breakfast. So.
Where were you?
That means a lot. If it closed, it's just like the town it's just kind of shut down.
Cool. That's interesting. I didn't think about.
When class reunion season comes around, the lodge lobby is busy with parties. The same goes for graduation season, and the cafe is packed with locals on the weekends and on weekday mornings with retirees. A push to save the monarch butterflies has led to a new partnership. How OPPD is working to turn some of its undeveloped land into natural prairies. When Omaha Sunday Morning continues. An unlikely pairing is creating the best of both worlds for the Omaha Public Power District and the Save Our Monarchs Foundation. Meteorologist Audra Moore learned about how the two are working together to make improvements.
In an effort to cut down on maintenance costs, the Omaha Public Power District decided to convert some of its land back to its natural prairie state. When the Save Our Monarchs Foundation heard what OPPD wanted to do, they reached out to see if a partnership between the two could work for everyone's interests.
In their Corridors for Pollinators program, the Save Our Monarchs Foundation works with utility companies to specifically create and convert habitats in their right-of-ways.
So all those strips you see with transmission lines or pipelines that we always look at, and they always look kind of scrubby, and we're not sure why. We try to convert those into habitat for monarchs and other pollinators.
OPPD Environmental and Regulatory Affairs Administrator Emily Muth thought the pairing would be beneficial for all parties involved.
By reestablishing the native habitat that was once here, we could do something that was beneficial to the monarch butterfly and also other pollinators that we hear so much about, as well as reduce long-term maintenance costs for the district.
It's a work in progress, but OPPD Facilities Operations and Maintenance Supervisor Jim Fitzsimmons says there's a lot of land they'll be able to convert.
We've identified about 305 acres at this time that we could convert into prairie, as well as plantings of the pollinators for saving the monarch butterflies.
Instead of being mowed several times a year, OPPD will mow the prairie areas every 3 to 5 years. And they're already seeing an improvement at their Nebraska City location.
So last year that would have been mowed. You wouldn't have had any monarchs this year. We have seen about 20 out there just last week. So yeah, that's a big difference.
In addition to helping the monarchs, creating a natural habitat instead of regularly mowing can cut maintenance costs by almost 30 to 50%. OPPD says so far they're saving $7,600 a year. Reporting in Omaha, Audra Moore, 3 News Now.
And if you want to help save the monarchs, planting milkweed and flowering plants in your own yard is a great start. Today is the first full day of fall. It officially started around 9 o'clock last night. While our highs this afternoon and tomorrow will be above normal, a couple more fronts this week will cool things down, keeping our highs and lows way below average. Even though there is a chance for rain this week on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, the overall percentages are pretty low. They came to Omaha seeking refuge from a huge storm. Now, a year after Hurricane Maria, they're still settling into their new life here, how they're adjusting, and what you can do to help when Omaha Sunday Morning continues. It's been 1 year since Hurricane Maria caused widespread damage in Puerto Rico and left thousands with little choice but to rebuild their lives elsewhere. Dozens ended up in Omaha. Throughout the past year, we've done stories on several Puerto Rican families who relocated here. A nonprofit created to help those families says many have landed jobs and homes. But as 3 News Now reporter Maya Sines tells us, there's a new type of help these families need.
Back in Puerto Rico, I lost everything. I lost my house.
Sandra Rojas moved to Omaha last November to rebuild her family's life after Hurricane Maria destroyed her home in Bayamón, Puerto Rico.
I wanted to give my daughter and granddaughter a better quality of life, for them to feel more comfortable.
They lived with a family friend for months. She began working at a Wendy's that was walking distance from her home. She even moved into this apartment in April. And even though they have no real furniture, only a couple of beds, to them it's better than what was left in Puerto Rico.
They're very, very strong people, very resilient, but at the same time, they've pushed through this year out of need.
Victoria Luthold with Heartland United for Puerto Rico, a nonprofit created to help families seeking refuge in Omaha from the storm's devastation, says the organization helped over 50 families.
I still remember the countless trips that we made to the airport to welcome people who lost it all. The majority of them were only coming with carry-on luggage, staying in hotels or staying with friends, and really rebuilding their lives from the ground up.
Luthold says although many of the dozens of families the organization has helped in the past year have successfully landed jobs and homes, there's now a new focus in helping families.
What we're seeing now is like the overwhelming emotion, the mental health issues, the depression, the anxiety that's sinking back in. And so turning on the news and hearing about another hurricane creates a lot of anxiety.
The nonprofit is holding an event today where counselors will be able to discuss trauma, grief, and coping. As for Sandra Rojas, she recently lost her job because the location closed and is looking for a new one. But the good news is her family will receive some donated furniture this week. Still ahead on Omaha Sunday Morning, we chat with CBS Sunday Morning host Jane Pauley about a show reboot and the woman behind it. Coming up right after Omaha Sunday Morning is CBS Sunday Morning, and here with a look at what we'll see is Jane Pauley. And Jane, what stories can our viewers look forward to seeing today?
Well, hey Jenny, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Well, the end of summer, silver lining, it's the start of the new TV season. And one of the shows getting a lot of buzz is the return of Candace Bergen in a reboot of Murphy Brown. Decades ago, really, Murphy Brown was a groundbreaking sitcom that found humor in lots of provocative places, including cancer and alcoholism, of course, politics. But Lee Cowan visited the set with Candace Bergen, who looked around and thought the new place felt a lot like home. Why don't we roll a clip?
So when you saw this the first time, what was that like?
Well, tears came to my eyes because it's almost identical to the set that we had when we started 30 years ago. This show was so important to so many of us when we were doing it, and you really connect on a level that's deeper, I think, than usual.
You know, it's funny you can connect to a sitcom, but as viewers, we get attached to these old friends, and so it's Candace Bergen and a lot of members of the original cast that some of your viewers will remember are also back. But I'm confident that a lot of new viewers are going to discover Murphy Brown all fresh and new. Great idea.
Yeah, these reboot shows always bring back so many different memories. What else do you have in store for today?
Well, Sunday Morning always has a lot of extra stuff in store. Mo Rocca has discovered that had he lived, the great composer Leonard Bernstein would have been 100 this year. So an opportunity to look back at the life and remarkable career of the composer who, among many memorable things, gave us West Side Story. And Sunday morning being Sunday morning, of course, we will also feature a profile of RuPaul, who earlier this week won an Emmy Award. How about that, Jenny?
All right, sounds great. Thanks so much, Jane. We appreciate it, and you'll find those stories and more right after Omaha Sunday Morning at 8 o'clock. Sunflowers, daisies, roses, and more. Shoppers at Westroads had a chance to stop and smell the flowers this week as some of the area's most creative floral designers went head-to-head in an extreme floral challenge. 3 News Now photojournalist Wade Lux takes us to the budding competition.
Where'd that music go?
Can't help but feel like you're judging me. I get that feeling about you.
Strange.
I'm always looking for something I haven't seen before, and that's really exciting when you come up to someone and you see them treat the materials in a way that you would have never imagined it happening.
$600 for the first, 3 for the second, and 2 for third. I got my eye on that big check, so eye on the prize.
Just going through these competitions really gives you a sense of your own abilities to be creative on the spot with the time limitation, with materials that you didn't choose. So it can really make you grow as a designer.
That from day to day you kind of do the same stuff and get the same orders, and it's such a good breath of fresh air to be able just to kind of branch out and do whatever you want to do.
Beautiful. The contestants from Omaha Hy-Vee stores had to create 5 arrangements in less than 3 hours. They were judged on originality, craftsmanship, and composition. And cake decorators also got in on a competition. Designers had 3.5 hours to decorate a specialty cake and a dozen cupcakes. From skulls to witch brews and dinosaurs, creators brought their favorite designs to life. Laura Bennett of Lincoln was inspired by her love of food. She says her plan was to just go with the flow.
I'm trying not to focus on anyone around me. I'm just trying to focus on what I've got going on right in front of me so I don't psych myself out.
Ashley Teague from Omaha won the competition for her Day of the Dead themed cake. The top designers move on to the company finals in Des Moines next month. There's a lot going on this week in Omaha. Here's a look at 3 things you need to know about. Folks in the metro will lace up their shoes this morning and join the fight to end Alzheimer's disease. It's happening at Stinson Park in Exarban Village. Registration starts at 9 a.m., followed by a ceremony at 10:15, and the walk kicks off at 11. And Nebraska's Homecoming Week kicks off today in Lincoln. The theme, Bringing the Tradition Home. A 5K fun run and walk happens today at 4 p.m. near Harper Hall. Runners are encouraged to show their spirit by wearing Husker gear. It's the first of many fun events planned heading into the big game against Purdue. Tomorrow, Omaha Children's Museum will host some very special guests. Children with compromised immune systems and their families will get a chance to play carefree during a special night at the museum. To make sure everyone gets a safe experience, staff members and volunteers will spend the day cleaning the museum for them. A young Omaha girl is a reminder that anyone can have a stroke. She was only 11 years old when she had one herself. Now Sarah is doing great and using her story to educate everyone about the signs and symptoms. You'll meet her next on Omaha Sunday Morning. When you think of a stroke survivor, you likely picture someone who is older, but anyone can have a stroke, even an active young girl who appears to be the epitome of health. Today we introduce you to the Westside middle schooler who will be featured at the American Heart Association's Go Red for Women Expo next week.
Ben and Luke are good. I'm not.
The sweetness of Sarah Weiss even comes across as she plays video games with her brothers.
I always tell them what could happen to you, it could happen to anybody.
Only 12 years old, Sarah is a stroke survivor.
I was at my swim team practice, and all of a sudden I just started to get a really bad headache, so I swam down to the other side of the pool, and by the time I got there, I couldn't feel the right side of my body.
So she has focal cerebral arteriopathy, which is a mouthful.
They did not know she had the condition, which led to her stroke last year.
She did have all the classic symptoms, so when I came to talk to her, she couldn't really speak. She had the slurred speech.
She spent 3 days in the hospital.
It really was like a miracle, you know, after running all these tests, something happened and that clot moved on and she came right back to us. So we were so thankful.
Sarah is an obvious fighter. This is video of her attending therapy. She also dances, swims, golfs, and runs. She's even taught herself to write with her left hand.
Like they told them that I might not ever be able to walk again or talk properly, but it didn't happen to me.
Sarah hosted a lemonade stand to raise money for the American Heart Association and is working to get a message across. Stroke can happen to anyone, and seconds count. Remember the acronym FAST.
Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty, time to call 911.
A girl tackling her own recovery while looking out for everyone else.
I think she sells herself short sometimes. She's worked hard.
Again, Sarah will be featured at the Go Red for Women Expo on Tuesday, September 25th. I'll be emceeing that event. Lunchtime is a favorite among elementary school students, and one teacher in North Omaha puts a twist on the lunch period, making it both fun and educational. 3 News Now morning anchor Emily Zink takes us to lunch.
Two hands first grade, that'd be so sad if you spilled.
Getting to eat lunch in the classroom.
Like they were so excited to be, we're gonna have lunch in the classroom with Miss Peterson.
Is not only a treat for these Lothrop Magnet elementary students.
Great job, first grade.
It is also a teaching moment for first grade teacher Emily Peterson.
1, 2, eyes on you.
So I actually get to converse with them while they're eating food and see, oh, this is what our manners look like, and I can practice modeling that with them. Oh, if you do not want a napkin, you can say, no, thank you. Use your manners.
To us, they may seem like simple skills.
We use our napkins.
But to a first grader, wiping their faces and hands while eating and protecting themselves from the occasional spill.
On your chest or on my lap.
Are things that must be instilled at a young age.
So we don't mess up our clothes or we don't put stuff on the floor.
So definitely we had less messes today, and so that was great.
Once a month, Miss Peterson oversees the lunch period in her classroom.
When you're chewing with your mouth closed, that's your good manner focus of the week.
The students don't just feel special eating with Peterson.
So what are you wearing a tie for?
They look special.
To be fancy.
During fancy lunch, the boys can wear ties and the girls wear jewelry. But today isn't just about dressing up and practicing good table manners.
Our table conversation today is going to be what you did this weekend.
It's also about learning to be a good listener and friend.
Like, what does it look like to talk with someone while you're eating and get to know them more and be able to have those conversations?
Until next time, fancy lunch is a wrap.
It's time to go to recess today.
It's time to go to recess today.
Oh, Jake, I want you to go back.
What a great idea, and they are absolutely adorable. The Nebraska Humane Society is celebrating a planned expansion. NHS announced the plan for the Judy Varner Adoption and Education Center. The $14 million renovation will change how animals are housed as they wait for their forever homes. It's the shelter's first renovation in 20 years. It aims to better benefit both animals and the public.
We are changing the way that we're housing cats, creating larger enclosures for them, group housing, so that the public can interact with them, and also that will expedite adoptions for our cat population.
The project will break ground in November. 1/3 of Omaha public school students fail basic vision tests, but 90% of those problems can be solved with glasses. Now, a new roaming clinic is helping by fitting students with a brand new pair of glasses. 3 News Now reporter Alex McClune shows us how it works.
Liberty Elementary School students cut the ribbon on the RV from Building Healthy Futures and Children's Hospital and Medical Center. It's a mobile clinic built to provide eye exams and frames to young students who fail basic vision screenings. OPS says over 10,000 students in the district have not been diagnosed or have not had treatment for their vision problems.
Oh, that's great.
Liberty Elementary School Principal Elka Oberst is excited to see the bus already serve 63 students and their families.
When students can't see the board, when students can't see what they're reading, they're at such a disadvantage. And their parents often usually can't afford the money or the time to go get them the exam and then the glasses, because it is a lengthy process.
You're up for some glasses.
When students step on board, doctors examine students' eyes and let them know if they need frames like these. The students get to pick what color or style they want to wear. If the Vision Mobile has their lens in stock, they can walk out with new specs then and there. Others may have to wait a couple weeks while their glasses are made. Vision Mobile coordinator Candace Iberg has already seen 100 students on the RV.
They have been fantastic and really brave, actually, to come on to a mobile clinic without a parent and to have an exam is really brave, and they have been fantastic.
The Vision Mobile has already seen 100 Omaha students who had trouble seeing. The group Building Healthy Futures is looking to provide 6,000 OPS students with brand new glasses every year. High school sports are meant to teach kids important life lessons about adversity and perseverance. When Omaha Sunday Morning continues, we introduce you to the coach who's doing just that, inspiring his athletes with his off-the-field battle. Fall and football go hand in hand, and under the Friday night lights, young students find and nurture their love for the game. Oftentimes that nurturing comes from the sidelines in the form of a coach who has dedicated his life to sharing his love of football with generations. That coach can be found on the sidelines at Burke High School. And as Karthik Venkatraman shows us, he's teaching his athletes about a lot more than football, showing them how to tackle issues off the field with grit and grace.
The gates to heaven on earth have often been the football field for Burke's head coach Paul Amanji. It's been that way since a young age, when he became a football player growing up in Youngstown, Ohio.
It's always been a love of mine, even since I was a little kid. I've played it all my life and watched it all my life and just fascinated with all aspects of it.
And as he aged, his interest never wavered. When the clock hit zeros on his playing days, he became a coach. He started in Ohio, then became the defensive lineman coach at Millard West. And for the past 13 years, he's been the head coach at Burke.
He is this program. He's the face of this program.
Effort and toughness define his reputation. And oh yeah, being one fiery dude.
He's a yeller, and there was times where we'd be in a comfortable game, and I would play with him a little bit. I would just start screaming, "Hold me." He would just start screaming at the ref, "Holding," even though I didn't even see anybody holding. We were just kind of messing with him at times.
And his players hear it sometimes too.
Oh yeah, everyone, of course, yeah.
But all that yelling is just tough love for a team he calls his second family.
You know, we tell the guys all the time, adversity's going to hit you. In a game, it's going to hit you in life. You got to have some toughness. You got to be mentally strong. So when it does hit you, you could carry on and move forward.
It's important to Lamanji to practice what you preach. And it's why strength was important for him when adversity hit him this past March.
It was like a punch in the stomach. I couldn't believe it.
His tonsils had been bothering him. He went to an ear, nose, and throat doctor for examination.
He popped my mouth open. He looked in it for about 3 seconds, and he said, "I think you got a tumor on your tonsil," and it kind of just blew me out of the water.
Diagnosed with tonsil cancer, Lamanji was confident he'd overcome it, but thoughts of death and faith creeped into the back of his mind.
I felt like I've lived a good life, that when that day comes that I will be going to heaven, and that makes things a little easier, but it doesn't escape the fact that I don't want to do it now. I have a lot to live for and a lot of things to get done, so I'm going to fight like heck.
So he fought, undergoing 7 weeks of chemotherapy and radiation. His health forced him away from his team, benching him during the off-season.
It was very,
different not having them here every single day.
I mean, they always say the worst things happen to the best people, and that's truly an example of it. It's like a stab in the back.
I mean, practice without them is just, I don't know, it's just that feeling that something's missing all the time.
But cancer wouldn't keep a family this close separated.
I would FaceTime him when we were conditioning, and his voice had changed, and he wasn't outside much, so he was pretty pale. But he just had that look in his eyes when we FaceTimed him, and just how happy he got.
It was everything. Yeah, it kept me going. You know, next to my family and friends, the football team is what gave me the strength to keep fighting, to keep going.
After treatment, he gained his strength back over time and returned to the team in July. And over the summer, he eased back into a normal routine. Then 2 weeks ago, a phone call from his doctor, about to tell Lamanji about one of the biggest wins of the head coach's life.
And the doctor actually called me Thursday afternoon as I was driving to practice and told me that I was cancer-free.
I was in his office and he came in and he said, "I'm good." You know, he just had a look on his face of relief.
About 10 minutes before that practice, the news reached the players. Coach beat tonsil cancer.
We spread the word as quick as we could. We were just so like, wow, like, you know, he made it. Like, we're all so happy.
You know, they lined up on their own and they welcomed their coach back.
They say when you go to heaven, you'll have friends and family waiting there for you at those gates. For Lamanji, it was at the gates to his heaven on earth.
To see it made me feel awesome. You know, they're just a team that is truly, truly together, unified.
Surrounded by a team that loves him.
I think that was the biggest smile I've ever had on my face. I mean, I couldn't wait to see him and tell him congratulations, that I love him.
And he loves them back.
You see him almost every single day, you're going to get close to him. And, you know, it's truly a family here, and you know, it's very special.
Football to him is a paradise in its own right, and it seems the players are his angels that gave him a lot of strength to help him fight away his demons.
Just incredible to see that support. Way to go, Coach, and you can tell you have a lot of people fighting for you. Omaha Sunday Morning continues after the break. On this Sunday, a look at what's happening this week in Omaha. Tomorrow, the Nebraska Female Veterans Flight takes off to honor female veterans who served our country since World War II. They'll get to see the monuments in D.C. and get a welcome home at the airport. This week is homecoming week at UNL, and the annual parade is scheduled for 6 p.m. on Friday. The route begins at 16th and Vine and is free and open to the public. Junk Stock Harvest Edition comes to town Friday through Sunday. More than 200 vendors have items on display at Sycamore Farms. Junk lovers can enjoy one of many food trucks at the festival and live music. For more information on these events and many more this week, take a look at the community calendar on omaha.com. This month, we have started an effort to make the Omaha area a better place to live. Our Safe Roads Now initiative is a series of reports that dig deeper and aim to make a difference in our community when it comes to distracted driving. When there's an incident on the roads, police, paramedics, and firefighters are the ones who provide emergency help. 3 News Now reporter Alexa Ray looks at the emotions that stick with our first responders.
For first responders around the state, they say caring for others emotionally and physically is their primary job. But their emotions get put on hold while they are working. On the side of the road, in the emergency room, prep to take action. First responders around the state are ready to care for those involved in crashes.
It is the worst day of their life. And so they are literally relying on us to be at our absolute best.
Sergeant Brian Stolley has been with the La Vista Police Department for 12 years. He says responding to accidents is daily, but detaching emotionally is almost impossible.
No matter how desensitized it is to you, you take a little bit of each crash with you.
A crash that happened almost 8 years ago still pops in his mind. On November 5th, 2010, Amber Wilkins was broadsided in her car when a fully loaded dump truck ran a red light.
It was one of those where she was seriously injured. She was unconscious for weeks. You're really serving that person's family in a time that they don't understand what's going on.
La Vista police officer Nick Giannetti says often the emotions appear without warning.
It's nothing that
you're ever really prepared to handle.
After the incident is done, when we're putting things back together, getting cleaned up, those emotions tend to come back and really hit us.
Just like for fire and police, Dr. Lisa Schlitzkis says care starts early on.
And it starts even from the moment of the person picking up the phone and calling 911 and reporting it.
While the years of training prepared her to help someone medically, she says she never prepared for the emotional toll helping would take.
Never giving the information that your loved one is deceased is easy, ever.
First responders agree the best path to continued career success is having someone in their field they can talk to who understands what they are going through.
The state back in the mid to late 1980s had established what's called a critical incident stress management program. There are mental health counselors and peers that were trained in how do we diffuse, how do we debrief somebody for a situation like this.
This method provides crisis support through peers to try and reduce potential harmful effects from dealing with stressful events.
All it involves is talking through the situation. It's amazing how much stress can be relieved by talking about it. We create essentially our own little network of help.
Because as experts in care themselves, they make sure to take care of their own. For Safe Roads Now, Alexa Ray, 3 News Now.
First responders agree the best path to continued career success is having someone in their field they can talk to. To find those people who understand or steps to cope with stress, visit our website at 3newsnow.com/SafeRoadsNow for more information. Playing video games are a lot of fun for young people, and now there's a current research project that involves doctors and surgeons. A research group is now trying to determine if playing video games has benefits for Creighton medical students and how they perform surgeries.
Simulation, virtual reality are kind of the wave of the future. That's how we're going to train a lot of these students and residents in how to do surgery and being in the OR.
The way the research works is it compares students' use of a simulator and their video game play to see if there are any changes. Still ahead on Omaha Sunday Morning, Nebraska kicker Barrett Pickering tackles the serious subjects of secret handshakes, superpowers, and Uber drivers.
What can be done about the historic damage and flooding that storms like Florence are leaving behind? Find out on 60 Minutes tonight.
Candace Bergen on Murphy Brown and Candace Bergen, plus a tribute to Leonard Bernstein and RuPaul this Sunday morning.
It's that time once again for Fill in the Blank. This week, our sports reporter Phil Bergman is kicking it with Husker Place kicker Barrett Pickering. Take a look.
Barrett, do people not think you're on the football team sometimes?
Definitely do get confused as a regular person.
You tell people you're the kicker. Do people just go, sure, yeah, right, you're not the kicker?
Actually, I probably get more of, I don't even know what that is.
Do you skip leg day ever?
No, I don't.
How much you squat?
I could probably do like 425 maybe.
When you make a field goal, handshake between you and Armstrong.
So we go, lately we've been going with the fist bump. So we bring it in, blow it up, and we take it out kind of far, and then we bring it back in.
Let's try this out. Ready? You make the kick.
And then we bring it back.
Oh, boom. You guys are traveling for the first time this weekend. Who's your go-to roommate for the road?
I room with Matt Masker.
Do you guys snore?
I do, so sadly he has to put up with that.
Which coach on the team would be most likely to night side as an Uber driver?
I would have to put Verduzco in that one. He just seems like just something you don't know about him.
If you had any superhero powers, what would they be?
Maybe to fly or something, that would be pretty cool.
Accuracy 100% of the time?
That would be pretty nice too. But flying would also be pretty cool.
Alabama stereotype that people have wrong 100% of the time.
Cousins.
Cousins.
No further comments needed on that one.
Hey Barrett, thank you so much for joining me. This was
Fill in the Blanks.
And that's all for this week. Thanks for watching Omaha Sunday Morning. We'll see you back here next week.